Hey, this is Max Alper, aka Parrotsky, and you are listening to Group Critique Fight Club. Oh yeah, baby. We back. We doing it big. Fading out. The Lovely Butterfly Gardens by David Moore. How is everybody doing on this lovely Monday Eve? I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back, Group Critique Fight Club, Public Night School Edition. Hope y'all are hanging and banging. Little housekeeping. First and foremost, make sure you're on the Discord to be sending tracks there. Link in the chat. Anybody who will be in either Richmond, Virginia, or New York City this weekend, Richmond respectively on Saturday, the August 23rd, and New York City on Sunday the 24th. I will be performing in both cities, as well as speaking on a panel at Virginia Commonwealth U at their Institute of Contemporary Art on a panel regarding music, tech, AI, hellscape, fun times, late stage capitalism, all that fun stuff. Real pick me up. Well, we'll find some optimism in there somewhere. Speaking on a panel there at the museum that afternoon on the 23rd, and then performing that evening at the Material Room in Richmond, and then playing at an unnamed, or rather unlisted, DIY spot in Brooklyn for the Please YS series on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So for any of y'all in either of those places, come through, come chill. Don't be a stranger. Talk to people at shows, etc., etc. And talk to people here as well. Start it out here and then book a show. It's as simple as that. Let this be a launch pad for you in your neck of the woods. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm always saying words. Anything else that's important to talk about here? I'm trying to think. Oh, yes. Remember to submit your work for the monthly project, which is up on the Discord as well. Reminder of what it is, to create a recorded piece of music that is under 5 minutes in duration, that is in a style, genre, or instrumentation that you have never worked with before. So as long as it's new territory under the above guidelines, the rest is entirely up to you. Highly recommend, highly encourage folks get in on the monthly project. We're going to be doing it monthly, obviously. But I think it's I think even on a long-term sort of basis of month to month, to be able to all sort of link on a particular assignment, myself included. I uploaded, I started the thread here. I submitted a piece, so I'm going to be participating as well. I think it's just interesting that we meet on certain thresholds or parameters every month, and some of these prompts will be very specific to genre, style, or instrumentation, and others, such as this, will be loose. So wanted to start it out kind of loose, but for anyone interested, there is an entire collection that I can find you on Clang Mag, RIP Clang Mag, on called Monthly and Weekly Projects or the Importance of Routine. Nice little essay and then collection of prompts related to the earlier version of the monthly project, and there are weekly projects there originally as well. Putting that in the chat on the YouTube now for anyone interested. If you are looking for doing some sort of routine on your own, not participating in the group, though I would love for you to participate in the group as well. Speaking of the group, we got music from you. I want to hear it. It will be good. It will be great. Starting off with Caleb, who submitted this track actually to the group critique yesterday on the Patreon, which obviously everyone should join. Link on the page right here, no doubt. So you can get double the fun. But they submitted it yesterday for the Patreon stream, but we are going to listen to it here as well with their permission. As I recall, it is a banger of modulating tempo. Let me pull this up here. Loading. Okie dokie, here we go. Oh yeah. Just as I remember, uh, stretching and convulsing the tempo. Um, and Caleb was on the live stream in the rather the live Zoom yesterday to talk about it a bit. And from what I recall, their process here is to create a straightforward, singular tempoed drum pattern, and then to kind of at will, at almost random, make random tempo modulation sort of markers in the tempo or tempo automation lane of the master tempo, uh, so that initially it might be by just hearing maybe that's the original loop, I don't know, and then zooming in at a what we could tell pretty granular surgical level of shrinking the tempo down to zero, to 0.1 or something, and then modulating it back seemingly at random from what I remember. But what I was thinking about listening to this now, and it's kind of a reflection on a lot what people are saying in the chat, just Kareem saying like how amazing the pace can still feel so natural. That natural sort of effect to me was getting me thinking in relation to what I said yesterday about this, is that it's like it's almost informed by gravity. And more so than that, I think it's like informed by by physics. It's as if like the tempo is being implemented by like a virtual physics engine in like Unreal Engine or something. Oh, Caleb's welcome. Welcome, Caleb. Welcome. Caleb's here live with us. The drums are made with the tempo modulation. Ah, okay. So I got it wrong. The tempo modulation comes first, then the drums are inserted into that. So it's like every step of the way is informed by these tempo modulations. That's even more amazing, because initially I'm just imagining making loops and then stretching them to a grain of sand and then condensing them right back in to brum, as if we're just like jam packing it into half a second. What I again though, like I think that this, like why this is strong, is it's, you might, I guess, have a good ear for it. This almost natural, sort of ebbing and flowing, gravity like waves like approach, in which, like I said yesterday, like a bouncing rubber ball. There, it feels like you're informed by some sort of natural, element here, and I use the gravity analogy, but it's whatever it is, whatever your ear is sort of finding here and executing quite nicely is translating, despite it not being at all within a singular tempo range, quite the opposite, uh, somehow still feels natural. I can imagine a free improviser at the drums performing in such a similar way, where like we're allowing our hands on the sticks to really like drop them, bum 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 bum. It just feels organic in that way, that despite it being generative, and or rather sequenced based, programmed drums, it has this natural, semi-improvised, while intentionally modulating tempo sort of feel that I can imagine a live drummer doing, which is why I had said yesterday that to like continue this series and to give us more variations of tempo modulation that could be, if this is an extreme example, to give us a more nuanced example, and find the points in between these larger scales, because I feel like even on like phasing ideas of changing certain elements by pieces of smaller increments of tempo change, not just on the master now, but like individual tempo, if possible. I mean, you could do that more through MIDI programming. But something to think about there is I would love separation of tempo modulation amongst the instruments as well. And the other instruments on this are wonderful. I mean, I think that it's you chose a good contrast between like such extreme rhythmic arrangement and then like quite powerful but simple harmonic progression, and choosing the piano again also like a really nice touch, because it's just like, it's not a neutral, quote unquote neutral instrument, but it feels very human in comparison to this cyborg of drums that you've created. It's a nice touch. It's a nice pairing. It goes quite well together. I feel like it would be overdoing it to have like this like overtly synthesized harmonic polyphonic instrument playing in conjunction with such exaggeratedly digital drums. It's reminding me almost of in a way a more larger orientation or a larger production vocabulary, but similar in sort of let's say relationship of one of my favorite Ryuichi Sakamoto collaborations with Alva Noto on their record Insen, Insen, for those that haven't heard that one. Those that have been with me for years hear me harping on that record all the time as a huge inspiration for me. But in that case, sort of pairing of grand piano live that is triggering or being sampled live in granular bits by Alva Noto, who doesn't have nearly as extreme or vast a drum sample or sound palette across that record, but it's much more minimal, focusing like on micro bits, like grains of sound. But again, it's this contrast of like purely acoustic, very human, very clean sound of the grand piano in conjunction with something that's so in the box, so exaggeratedly digital. You brought me there here, and I mean this as a compliment, because that Ryuichi, that record is one of my desert island mixes for sure. No, I want to hear more in this relationship of tempo modulation to rhythm section, and then like you said, your process of starting with tempo modulation and then adding instruments to that, like following in this sort of thought process. What other compositions you can come up with if you were to get even more detailed in even just the tempo modulation aspect of it, channel to channel, creating imperfections amongst the instruments as well, and not just having hard sync points. I think it would be really interesting. Really strong stuff. You don't often hear these swooping changes in tempo, especially in programmed electronic music, perhaps by hand a little more often, but this has that by hand quality to it. Super commendable. Very into it. Want to hear more. Thanks for letting us share this one on the public one, Caleb. Strong stuff of the world needed to hear. The greater world, whatever the world is. The 10 people watching right now. All right, let's keep it going. We got a new one. Ducha Fría is back with Estudios en Medianoche número 4. They write to us. This one I think is finished. I'm afraid it may be too messy in terms of guitar or bass takes, so I would like opinions. Okay. Keep those thoughts in mind in the chat. Messiness of guitar and bass. Good thing? Bad thing? Too much? Just enough? Too little? Let's see. Very nice. Oh, what was that? Oh, that's just a little fart at the end there. Hell yeah. Beautiful. Not messy. What are we talking about? This isn't messy. It sounds live. There are, it's not like, I don't know. Are you using a click track is this a band? Is this a solo project? I'm curious because if this is a solo project in which you are multi-tracking yourself, I'm curious if there's a click track involved or if it's drums driving tempo here. There's not necessarily a right answer or a wrong answer when it comes to that in general, whether especially if it's a live band, but curious about that as a studio solo project. If you are the multi-instrumentalist in the studio playing all these different parts, in that case, I would actually, more lean towards the usage of a click track because there are some moments here where there's a little bit of just, it's almost hocketing, like hearing some little bum ba ba ba, like slightly imperfect. I wouldn't say messy. I would just say like very human and even more difficult if this is a solo project to maintain a mechanical level. Okay, so yes, it is solo and you are playing with a click track. Cool. Great. Welcome. In that case, I mean, like, I think that this is great. Like it's quite hard to pull off this sort of syncopated music part for part. And so much of this is about this like sort of like little intricate counterpoint moments that are happening between bass and drums. But I mean, you're creating, dare I say, a sort of Midwestern emo, post-rock, almost Louisville, Kentucky sort of sound, like Midwestern emo meets Slint in a way. There's definitely, and I'm just putting the post-rock label on it because it's instrumental right now. If you were to add vocals to it, I'd be curious which direction you'd want to go in delivery, or if this is meant to be instrumental or not. I mean, you're saying, I guess I need to practice, which is something I do not like to hear. I mean, I'm not actually saying that. I think this is tight in its own way. It's definitely not messy. There's just a few moments that I'm hearing, like, if this was you and a bassist looking at each other in the eye, you wouldn't have to practice that more than just playing it together, because I think it would be more naturally locked in. This is difficult, playing this type of full band trio or quartet as a solo artist in multitrack. This is not easy stuff. I don't know if I could pull this shit off. This is tough. I think that this is I think on its own, like, if you want to tighten up your chops for the sake of precision, if that's what you think is the merit to this, that go for it. But I'm trying to imagine this as the band, in which like these imperfect moments would just be a part of it, as if you weren't playing to a click track and you were doing this live. So no, I think that you're on the money here. Tell me if you have vocal plans on this, though. I'd be curious about that. Kareem writes, thus far, I'm not against the messiness, quote messiness of the guitar and bass. I think it's the compression. The compression is actually what's causing this messiness to sound like a fight for space. Okay, well I mean, I wasn't even really listening for mix at this point. There's definitely ways in which we could create more space. And I mean, not like in a reverberant sense. I mean that like in the literal stereo image of left, center to right, to create space amongst you and your virtual bandmates here. Because like it sounds very mono right now, and that also might have to do with this messiness that was being described. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what the vocal ideas you might have for something like this. Could very easily be in the Midwestern emo side of this, but my brain was thinking more the quiet, Slint-esque hushed. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's definitely directions that could go in vocally if you wanted to. But on its own, I mean, this is post rock. I think it's strong. If this is something that, again, if your gut instinct hearing, if you think messiness has to do with timing, and your gut instinct is telling you like, yeah, like could use a little work, then do the work, you know? Find a way to get tighter. My ear is not inclined to be super critical of that, because I'm trying to envision this as a band playing this in a room together, in which those moments of imperfection are bound to happen all the time, you know? So I guess the question is more like your intention of this sound. Are you trying to get it like tight, like self-quantized, to the click? It's really just relates to your intentions here. Also, like, if we're doing a studio project, if you're doing this not live, if we're doing this multi-track, and right now, if we're in a trio of drums, bass, and single guitar, add another guitar, get actually harmonic. I think that's like just developing that, not even dynamically, not even necessarily getting louder, but just like building the sounds here. Even more room for, like, you could lay into these imperfections having a third layer, you know? You wrote, I guess there is a tension in myself between being tight and letting myself go. I mean, this is tough music. You're writing difficult music here. You have to be, to some extent, on it as far as tight goes. I think it's more just like, are we trying to make this as, you know, surgically precise, or the illusion of live band looseness? My ear is leaning towards the latter. You got to decide your vision here, you know? There's not a right or wrong answer here. But in general, I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this type of music. Like, this is definitely the world that I enjoy, and especially the instrumental sense. That's why I want you to develop more harmonically too, even outside of what we're talking about here, even just some open chords, easier stuff, you know, creating more polyphonic moments, harmonic moments. Ducha, Fría. Good shit. Good shit. Thank you for sharing. Trying to hear more of this world. All right, what do we got? Breathplay is back. Looking for mixed thoughts. Too showy, too squeezed. Highs too harsh. Unorthodox dynamics not landing well. All questions. Maybe we'll have the answers. Maybe we won't. Let's see. Nice. Nice. I'm hearing some R+7, some riffs, some tape saturated OPN inspo here, some vaped out surrealism occurring here, as well as some maybe post-digital choice of sounds, synthesizer wise, sort of grounding us in a lot of these old pads that are obviously heavy on the low and mid frequencies specifically. Oh, cool. Definitely going for a Riffs era cinematic quality. A World. Okay, I'm going to have to go listen back to that one here. I mean, yeah, no, definitely, to me, I think it could be more. I understand like the choice of saturation and the choice of not like the cleanest mix, It's not too showy. It's not too squeezed. There's definitely harshness to it. And yeah, Frankie too, writing that I like the hiss in the background. There's definitely I like the noise artifacts here. I'm a huge fan of that. I just feel like it could be meant to sound less. Some of it sounds a little too digital. Like there's a clipping in the mids that sounds, there's a crackle to it that it sounds very much like in the box Focusrite digital distortion coming through the interface or something. When to me, like there's a distinction of that with a more tapey saturation that has, I don't know, like it potentially maybe this crackling is a bit too mid highs when maybe we want more saturation in mid lows. I don't know. I'm curious as to what your production process was for this, because I know you have worked in plenty of hardware stuff as well as software based stuff, and I understand when you're intentionally doing something as far as saturation goes and lower fidelity. I know you're more than capable of making something super hi-fi here. So I'm curious as to your signal flow to get towards this type of saturation in particular, because maybe there was some unintentional sort of crackling going on. So you say it's live keyboard with a very part of the creative process mix in the DAW. Got you. Okay. Well, I'm curious as to what levels the live keyboard is coming in, because I feel like we were hearing some sort of interface distortion happening at its like the thickest parts of the chords, like when the most polyphony is occurring. You say recorded with some saturation, some digital, and some analog. Okay. I mean, if it's okay if it's digital saturation. I'm just saying, like, you have more precision and choice of types of saturator as a plugin goes in post. And like, I would veer away from the 2000s and 2010s, like USB interface digital distortion and more, or saturation, and more into like VHS side of it. Okay, you wrote that would be the effects pedal you're using, the TC Helicon Digital Harmonizer FX. Okay, if that's the case, I mean, like, I would rather you use less gain there and then find a way to creatively saturate that to a more VHS quality, a warbled, even a more tapey saturation, like precise analog emulation, not literal analog saturation. Because I don't know, I think that it's stronger. It's stronger in the lower chords for sure, because it's just by virtue, like the crackling will occur in lower frequencies down there. But when you're playing these big, thick chords in the middle, to me, there was a little, that crackle was a little bit distracting. I would rather hear it more rumble. I would rather hear it warble and have that sort of warmth that a tape distortion might have, or an emulator of tape distortion might have. There's even plugins out there I've seen that make VHS specific VHS emulation as far as sound goes. I have to find the exact name of this plugin while I'm here. Hold on. VHS plugin emulator. Who made it? What's the one? Fuck. I know I've seen that before. VHS Home Flavor Box. Audio Hertz makes one. Baby Audio Super VHS. That's the one I was thinking of. 1980s retro color plugin. Yes, I've used this one, and boy, it gets you there instantly and to a T. They spent a lot of time. I love Baby Audio. I've used this one before. Yeah, for anyone interested in what I'm talking about here. Or you could do what Frankie says. Take the plunge and buy a cassette deck with pitch control. Yeah. Yo, the modded cassette deck is a next level choice. I don't know. I think that like we should just go all the way with this, at least having that dated quality to it, and not have it sound like recording artifacts, but elements of sound design, choice sound design. Caleb writes, noise injection shaper in Ableton Roar. I haven't seen that one either. I mean, there's that's the thing. It's just like there are so many options if you wanted to make this a software saturation and not a hardware saturation. So I would recommend that. I would recommend just a little less gain going in and just more headroom to craft the gain stages in a way that feels more attenuated and intentional as far as the type of distortion that we got going on here. It didn't feel like, it felt like some of that was intentional and some of it was accidental. That the levels of fidelity here. I would rather you just have this be a challenge for how to create that precise, crackle or warble saturation digitally. Blade Runner vibes. Yeah, Vangelis for sure. I have that on vinyl and it's old, like an original, like my parents' copy of that. And it sounds like shit. Just as far, it's like warped and it's perfect for what I'm talking about here. The pitch warbling and crackle of old Vangelis vinyl specifically. I mean, that has to be a Daniel Lopatin influence, no doubt, as well. Yeah, no, this is we haven't heard much of this from you, especially here on the public stream Breathplay. But I know that you have dabbled in both, let's say, traditional vaporwave aesthetics as well as dungeon synth with some of your hardware synth projects in the past. I think that this being like an 80s, it's not vaporwave by pure aesthetics. I think that there's way more to it here in a cinematic sense, like you said, like a speculative film score on VHS is kind of the takeaway that I have here. So I just want you to like world build more into that, use the mix as a way to develop that further. Nothing you ever do fits a pure aesthetic. That's true. That's true. Nor should it. I'm not saying that it should. But I do think that like let's imagine this fully cohesive in, like, again, you've said it before, like what video game map does this take place in? To me, it's not what video game map does this take place in, but what VHS does this play off of? Where are we thematically, cinematically, as well as like the medium itself and the era in which we're hearing it, I know that you're experimenting across various genre and projects right now, so I won't just say I want to hear a whole lot more of this all at once, but don't give up on this world in particular. I'm curious what your goals are, or if this was a one-off just for experimentation's sake. Very strong though. To bitterness revives the tongue. Great title. Great fucking title. All right, thank you, Breathplay. Let's keep listening. How many more do we got today? We got 2 in the queue. Untitled work in progress from Woof. Open to all feedback. Love it. Yeah. Yeah. Give it up for Woof. Give it up for Woof. We got some good comments here in the chat. Absolutely adoring this, and I know who this is. I won't dox them, but they're a private student who I encouraged to submit this track to the Discord, and they know my thoughts on this, but I'll speak on them publicly. But just reading through the chat here, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to find out what this turns into. Nice panning, great development pace. To my ears, the rhythmic ducking of the filtered noise is just slightly out of the groove of the envelope of those can be really tricky. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if there's if there's an intentionality to that, because part of me, yes, there is. We can hear that that envelope. Every millisecond makes a difference when we're working with dance music and utilizing ducking and envelopes as a it's a it's a negative space drum rather than adding rhythmic value, or rather than utilizing rhythmic value through the addition of sounds, it's utilizing rhythmic value through the subtraction of sounds, through that ducking effect. So it never, I really do enjoy that it doesn't fully give us a final, not giving the people what they want, not giving us a full kick drop, but rather utilizing this ducking effect for the sake of creating a 4 to the floor sort of gate rather than addition. But it's a good question that Alma puts out, that the filtered noise envelope in the ducking, if it's a slight 10, 20 millisecond slope, if we were to bring that in ever so slightly, I'm not imagining it at a 0 millisecond. I'm not imagining it at just a it's the slope is the art here. The slope that every few milliseconds makes a huge difference here. And I'm curious if we can maintain that rhythmic brushing effect, because it really has this brush, like shh, 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 like on a snare drum, through this slight slope in the envelope, and wondering if we can have it both ways, if we can get the best of both worlds. If we were to, if this is 20 milliseconds, if we could bring it to 15, even 10 on the attack, what that would sound like. And if we could maintain a bit more tightness in groove on the 1, utilizing the 4 to the floor, like really like utilizing the quarter notes here locked in, while also maintaining this brushing. Shh, shh, shh. It is tricky. The envelope is tricky. Those little intricate changes to the attack can make a big difference, especially in this world where it's not about attack of an additional sound like a kick, but rather a pulling of sound through the ducking itself. It's a very clever trick. I know whoever you are, you know that I've told you this, but it's giving us what we want without actually giving us what we want. It's implying what we want. That's what I dig about it. It's implying a full arrangement of techno, even though it is actually doing the opposite and taking elements out. And the utilization of white noise and field recordings in particular, and gating that, is a very strong choice. Not just having it be synthesized sound, but really grounding it in a space, and then having that space be very musical, utilizing the ducking through field recordings. That suddenly it's created white noise, even if it's not literal white noise, because we're hearing it in a different context when it's very methodically and generatively gated. It doesn't sound like a natural field recording. It instantly brings us to this, well, this is just a type of oscillator, you know? Anything could be an oscillator. Anything could be an instrument. Field recordings included. Continuing on in the chat, love the Plastic Man vibes. It's giving Consumed, Fire, Filter Jams. Yes, absolutely. On the Filter Jams, I'm curious the process. I feel like I remember, but I'm not exactly sure as to... it sounds very handmade on the filter, on the acidity of the filter itself. And curious if there's a pointing and clicking involved automation, or if that is handmade. Frankie asking, is the bass a TB303 clone or VST? That's a very good question. From what I recall, this is all software, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm right. Oh, there they are. They're here in the chat. It's the Native Instruments Massives through Waves One Knob. Yes. Waves One Knob. Classic. Everybody should go get those. It's very effective, single knob, no frills, ugly ass UI, but you could get the most exaggerated on the filter alone. It has like regular mode, moderate mode, heavy mode, and like extreme mode on the resonance of the filter itself. And it's just like instantaneous acidity for those that are seeking that out. Yes, it is super, super rich. Good stuff. Oh, you're here in the chat as Street Gang 2. But on the Discord, you are Woof. I won't dox you. Not yet, at least. Good shit. Loving this. We're working on a collection. You're world building here. Speaking of world building, you know, utilizing the field recordings, great way to instantly ground the listener somewhere. We're outside in an industrial space hearing this. Very effective. Very effective. Let's go. Playing us out today. Our final track from Kev. Okay, good. It's all automated. It's all software. Most of the automation is handmade. Also has one knob wetter on it. What is the wetter? Is that reverb? I don't know. I forget. All right. Final presentation for the evening. Semi-mixed from Kev. Semi-mixed, unfinished dark wave work in progress. Vocal performance and mixed notes appreciated. Also, how do I train my baritone voice? Brother. Practice. Voice lessons. It's been a minute since I've been in that world, but boy, have I been in it. Blood on my hands.
Every single waking moment still
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Definitely on the dark wave. Definitely going for that baritone croon. And not easy to do. Not easy to do. I think that the hardest thing for low end delivery is just being able to feel like you're projecting. So, and this is not even a performance technique, which we will get to, and we're getting some good feedback in the comments here on how to develop the baritone even further. But turn your monitor up in your headphones when singing this low. Like this is the when you're singing up higher, it just like rings in your head more. It is projected louder. This is you're singing lower, it's hard to project the same way as when you're belting up high. So it tends to be quieter, and obviously like your monitors in the mix should compensate for that. Bring it up, be hotter in the ears, you know? I think this is just the type of thing that like if you're gonna maintain a relatively uh lower decibel range of delivery. So even if you're not mixing it yet, to hear it hotter in the ears, I think is just going to get an even more precise and accurate performance out of you. Um, so going through the ideas of just developing your voice even further, some good thoughts here. So like, yeah, you're definitely going for the Ian Curtis type of situation with this delivery. For singing, try to place the resonance in your chest cavity to really get that full quality. So up here, up in the mids, not going for that belly breath, but really chest voice in particular. Not hard. I mean, not easy to do, but definitely a way to expand, breathing from the middle. Um, this is not easy stuff. Um, Musicologists have theorized to this day that popular music favors high voices because they would carry farther in distant pass when singing was invented for signals and battle cries. Interesting. Interesting. Well, there is also just pure psychoacoustics. Like we hear higher frequencies as louder. Like we interpret them as louder. It's called like acoustic masking when you hear multiple voices and the women or the altos and the sopranos ring out louder than the tenors and the bass and the choir, even if they're all of one dynamic range. That's just how we interpret. The brain interprets acoustics, psychoacoustics there. You're asking boost the backing track or boost the vocal volume. I'm saying boost the vocal volume level in the monitor mix, specifically while you're recording. Like get your shit as front and center as you need to be as accurate as you need to be. It doesn't need to be permanent as a mix choice. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about just levels for delivery. I think that in general, this is quieter delivery from you. And so it requires you to compensate with louder monitor levels for the sake of at least just getting it up and in your ear for the best possible delivery. It's what I would say if you were doing this live on stage too. Like you would be telling your house engineer, like, I'm doing mostly this sort of baritone crooning, so I really need just like more gain to compensate for that, so that like it cuts through, you know. But again, this is not me giving you vocal delivery advice. This is me giving you like both like monitor mix, and then ultimately like should be applied to the actual mix and live mix too. Utilize a compressor, like bring the dynamic range up to the forefront. Don't allow it to fall back, because it should be cutting through. Utilize a compressor for the sake of not letting the dynamic bottom of this, the floor, be that quiet. Like it should be limited to the upper regions dynamically, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Those are my thoughts. Strong shit. Loving it. Loving the Kevin always bringing us some bangers here. Good stuff. I like that. Overdrive on the voice. Yeah, true. Could absolutely, overdrive in like sending it through like a Princeton reverb amp, like a shitload of gain and like spring reverb on it. Like ground us in this almost, I hate to say rockabilly, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like Nancy Sinatra sort of gothic levels. Really, really lovely stuff. Thank you, Kev. Fantastic. And thank you all for hanging. Got to get more tracks sent to the Discord. Keep them coming for next week. We won't be meeting on Sunday next week because I will be on the road once more that evening in New York City. But we will be back here on Monday, a week from today, as per usual. So keep those tracks going and remember to submit to the monthly project as well. Please do it. Don't be shy. Give us some new works. And if, like I said, if you are in either Richmond or New York City next weekend, come through. And yes, you're right, Breathplay. Darkwave does kind of start with a rockabilly. It is true. It is just the crooning. It's the crooning. The crooning is crucial. Crucial crooning. You wrote, okay, so that is you, Kev. I have an analog vocal distortion chain that you're cooking up. Yes. I want to hear it. Submit more music to the Discord, y'all. Keep it coming on there. Looking forward to next time around. Hope y'all have a fantastic week. And I will see you very soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another edition of Group Critique Fight Club with me, Max Alper, aka Parrotsky. You can sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/Parrotsky to get access to our Sunday Zoom school on top of the regular live public stream. Public stream takes place every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. All are welcome. And you are listening to the track Atop Alp Dog Mountain, Ja Plays Pokemon Go by me.